What's up, y'all? Welcome to Never Shut Up. I'm your host, Marcellus Wiley, and y'all know me, so y'all know I am pumped for this moment right here. And a lot of questions about, Marcellus, how did you get there? Where are you? And I know what you guys want to know. You want to know the why. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why I left Fox Sports and why now I'm on Brinks TV and Reach TV. Well, it starts with the state of media today. Now, you guys know me, and I like to keep it real. And the last place that I've been that was real, like I like it, that was fun, everybody was honest, we were agreeing, disagreeing, beefing, it didn't matter. It all went down in the locker room. And that's why this set is designed just like that, a locker room, where we're gonna have conversations that are gonna start where your conversations generally end. We're gonna go deep, we're gonna go layered, just like we did in the locker room. Everything goes down in the locker room, no matter what you guys are talking about, no matter what you're thinking, no matter what you're going through, we're gonna lay it all down on the table. So me, I find myself right here at Brinks TV because that changed in the media today. We cover sports, we cover life, culture, entertainment, whatever it may be. But now it's a little more laced with agenda than it is with honesty. I got to a place where my takes became hot takes just because they were the truth. People became uncomfortable with me because they were more comfortable with lies. And I kept looking around like, what is going on? Was it the pandemic? Was it just because everyone was making so much money, putting on a suit and saying whatever as long as it clicked and hit on social? And I was just sitting there like, I feel out of place. I'm from Compton, where my grandmother, my mother, my father, they raised me to always speak the truth and nothing but the truth. And then you find yourself in a position where that's not the reality. All of a sudden, you got decisions to make, right? So I'm at Fox Sports enjoying my life. You know, I'm at the top of the mountain, belly all full, loving life, getting paid, comma after comma after comma. But I was just noticing that it wasn't fulfilling. I had a family, 4 kids, and my wife, and I always had homework. So every time I would go to the set and do my job, I have to go home and check my work. That means I looked at life through the lens of my family. I looked at life through the lens of my kids. And I was like, is this the world I want them to inherit? A lot of BS, a lot of fluff, people not being authentic? Or am I gonna be the example that I profess to be when I'm at home? So now I'm at a place where I realize that there's 2 things we're gonna do together. And I made this realization when I was at Fox Sports. I needed a platform. I needed opportunity to go out there and challenge everyone watching to either go with me on this journey to learn or unlearn. I'm gonna say it again. We're gonna go on this journey together to learn or unlearn. A lot of times we're all told what to learn, what to memorize, what to just go out there and digest and then throw it up at the cocktail party, right? But that's just the beginning. The depth of it is when you get to a place where you're so open, when you get to a position where you're so vulnerable that all of a sudden you're in a position to unlearn. Yeah, they call them generational curses. Yeah, the thing that you thought and you swore by that you were holding on to so tightly, tighter than her or him that you loved, you couldn't let it go. But on this show, we're gonna challenge you not only to learn, but to unlearn. Because I love sports. It got me to where I was. I used my brain and I used ball to become who I became. But now I'm looking at it where the meritocracy of sports is compromised. It's big business, right? The best players don't always play. But also the coverage of sports and every other genre of media has turned into where now your opinion is taken into account more so than what we actually see on the court, on the field, in real life. And to me, that is too out of whack. So our conversations right here, they're gonna be unfiltered. That's right. I'm in a position where there will be no stones unturned and no stones thrown. Did you hear what I said? No stones unturned. We're going everywhere, but no stones thrown because I am flawed and I'm vulnerable. So as I go through this process, I'm going to talk about what I've done that is in parallel, in sync with things that are happening right now. Because nobody likes to talk to that OG who act like he never did it wrong. And then all of a sudden comes up, it's like, oh, I got everything. I got all the answers. Get off my lawn. Nah, I was a nut. I was a fool. I was a mess. But I also was smart. I also was wise. I also was disciplined. And I think all of us have those positive and negative attributes. So being here, I'm now on Brinks TV and Reach TV because I have a tremendous relationship with one person and one person in particular who I'm going to bring on in the next block. His name is Brenkus. We're like-minded, but we're not like-looked. If you look at me and you look at John, you look at me, you look at John, you look at me, you look at John, you're going to realize we have a lot of differences. But peel back the layers. Listen, learn, unlearn. You'll realize how much we have in common, John and I. And that's going to be the premise of this show. Because everyone watching, you're looking around, you're seeing this polarization, right? You're seeing everyone just being distant from you, you assume. But in reality, if you guys talk through your situations, you'll find much more in common than you would find in difference. So I got to Brinks TV, frankly, because during my contract talks at Fox Sports, I had a little birdie, I had a little homie named Brenkus call me up in the middle of those negotiations and say, Marcellus, I'm cooking up something over here, big dog. Would you join me? Obviously, the answer to that is yes, and I am here now at Brinks TV. There is so much in front of me, so much open space, so much green pasture that I am so excited to go on this journey with you, to share this experience with you. So right now we're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned for more coming up on Never Shut Up. That's on Brinks TV and Reach TV. Yeah. Welcome back to Never Shut Up. Marcellus Wiley here, and I'm excited to announce my first and my next guest, the founder of Brinks TV. We know who he is, 6-time Emmy Award winner, creator of ESPN Sports Science, the sports science guy himself, my man Brenkus. What's going on, Big John?
Oh my God, I cannot believe that this is happening. You ever wake up, happening. Say, how is this happening?
Yeah, that's the craziest part. When people see us together, they're not thinking water and oil, but they're like, do they really mix? How do they know each other? How did this go together? So John, from your perspective, I want to hear, how did we both get here?
Man, you know how we got here is that although we may look completely differently, although we grew up in completely different parts of the world, I have always lived my life by one principle. Positive energy begets positive energy. As long as a person is real, then I'm totally cool with them. They could be whatever you are, just be it. And when you and I met, the very first thing that stood out is how incredibly authentic you are, how real you are. And you know, having been in entertainment and sports, that there are people who have personas, and then there are people who are real people. And you've made an unbelievable career out of being Marcellus Wiley, whether it was on the field, whether it was in media. You don't have this switch you turn on and change characters. You're just Marcellus no matter where you go. And for myself, literally from the time that I was in kindergarten to now, I just want someone to be who they are, because I am who I am and I don't know how to be anybody else. And the way that you and I came together and the way that you came over to Brinks TV, I called you at the right time, in the right day, at the right moment, because the universe is conspiring for us to succeed.
Say it again, man. And it's so good to hear that echoed outside of your social space, outside of your own inner thoughts. like you see someone who is reflecting the same sensibilities as you, it just makes you understand how great an opportunity we have, as you said, because the universe is conspiring with us. And I used to tell people this all the time when I was working, whether it was NFL Network when I started day one, and then it was ESPN, it was Fox Sports, wherever I've been, I never had to work because all I did was answer questions and be myself. And I just showed up all the time. But then it became work. It became a labor of love. I used to go in and say, I'm going to be real. And then I look next to me, look around me, look on social, look at other shows. I'm like, that's not who I know. I know that person. I just don't know this persona. And when that distance started to get so wide, it started to affect me because now I was in a place where I was working uphill and feeling the resistance to my greatest ambitions, which is just to translate my life and experiences to you to hopefully help you out and enhance yours. So now I'm in a perspective and position where John Brenkus and I know we have like minds and like spirits. And then there was a moment of truth where business had to get handled. Talk about me acquiring a stake in Brinks TV and also being a partner of John Brenkus.
There's a lot of great fortune that happens by just timing and being able to do it. It's almost like being able to catch the pass or make the sack at the right time in the game. It doesn't mean that you're way better than everybody else. It's that, look, I tried. It worked out this time. That doesn't mean it's going to work out every time. And I'm still that same guy. And you and I right now, being at the stage of life that we are, we're still in that growth phase. And I can't wait for the audience to come along and for us to learn from the great people who are out there who've never been in media. On Brinks TV, you're going to have the opportunity to bring people up and learn from people who we've never met. I can't wait to see how far we take this.
You're talking about the wisdom of the crowd, and one of my favorite things to do. I hated when I became celebrity and then it was taboo to read all your comments and just really connect with the people and not talk down to them and not talk at them, but talk with them. I was like, yeah, I read my comments. A lot of them are right. They got me. But the beautiful thing is I never accepted that as I was brilliant, as you just testified. But Brinks TV, let's be real. Pretty brilliant. And you created that right there. So tell everyone, what is Brinks TV?
Look, Brinks TV is the culmination of a lot of years of experience and really creating something that doesn't exist in the universe. At the end of the day, people want to be connected to the content in a way that goes beyond just passively observing. So we created a one-of-a-kind single-screen experience where the content, community, and commerce are all married in one screen. You're not redirected. You're not kicked out. It literally is, I'm watching Marcellus Wiley. He's asking me a question. I'm answering it to him. It's an interactive platform. It's, hey, Marcellus Wiley has a limited edition piece of merchandise that I can purchase. I can purchase it right here. Hey, Marcellus Wiley is asking me to raise my hand because he wants to hear from me. We can pull you up directly into the broadcast, all without ever leaving the screen. It's that single screen experience that's unlike anything in the world. And God bless you, Marcellus Wiley, for believing in the vision of Brinks TV and coming along for that ride.
I mean, it's pretty easy to believe in what you just said, which is the vision of Brinks TV. Having so much experience in linear cable, traditional television, you know what that is, and it's huge, and it's an amazing platform. But when you hear something that is next level, innovative, like you just described, where we all can aggregate and all congregate and share in information, share in the entertainment experience, it takes me back to not only the locker room, but also just my playing days from growing up Pop Warner all the way through the NFL, because no matter what we did in the locker room and on that field, we were all teammates, but we all didn't contribute the same. We all didn't go out there and hold the ball. We all weren't on the field, but we were all part of the same team. I really look at this experience the same way. Like, fans have been left out because they're not the one with the ball. But guess what? They're still there on the sidelines. And sometimes put them in the game. Can't be that much worse than Zach Wilson. Let me stop. So the point is, everything has to come together. And it is all coming together. And coming up, I'm going to have a lot more of John Brenkus, a lot more of Never Shut Up on Brinks TV and Reach TV. Welcome back to Never Shut Up. John Brinkus right there, Marcellus Wiley right here. And I wanted to see behind the scenes of Brinks TV and behind the scenes of not only your life, but my life as well, because there's been so much going on and transitions from us being public personas, mainstream media, to now independently about to become mainstream with this. So, John, just take me through a day in the life of John Brinkus as he's designing and now executing on Brinks TV.
Man, I'll tell you what, I am so laser focused on Brinks TV. My day does revolve around creating an experience, developing programming in a way that really has never been done before. And I have the great fortune of having been part of a company previously with my brother-in-law, Mickey. We built the production company that created Sports Science. And Sports Science, when people look at it, they're like, oh my God, that was so amazing. I mean, they don't realize the number of failures that happened between starting the company and creating Sports Science, and even the number of failures that happened from the beginning of Sports Science until it really kind of took off. And I've really taken those lessons, and in every single day, I think to myself, the lesson from Sports Science is if you're gonna be something, be it all the way. No apologies. And I wake up, I literally say to myself, I pray, I wake up, very religious person, very spiritual. I kneel down and I pray and I say, may my actions be my prayers. And I genuinely mean, I hope that what I'm doing is expressing how grateful I am just to be alive. And so every day, when I wake up and I built this studio, the Brinks TV headquarters, I go downstairs into the basement and I literally think to myself, what can I do today that puts its own little dent creatively in a way that hasn't been done before? And so whether or not it's writing something, creating a show, developing an aspect of the platform, my day revolves a lot around that. And then it revolves around really saying, how can I help somebody else? And I genuinely mean that. Everything that I'm doing, you can't be so self-absorbed to say, I'm doing this for me, because ultimately it's hollow. If it's only for you, it's got to be in service of someone else, because our job is to perpetuate love, plain and simple.
Woo, that was from the heart right there. And it's from the headquarters. And as if you guys panned out, I was like, that's a headquarters studio. This must be a pinky toe studio. Like, this is not the headquarters, it's pinky quarters. This is like leg or arm quarters. I feel you, brother. Man, my day is interesting. Obviously, it's shifted because before, think about it, since graduation, I've been the guy that had an itinerary given to him and just said, all right, be here, show up and ball out. And then that transitioned to doing shows, which is basically the same thing. Hey, the show starts here, it stops here. I want you to show up and ball out. And then I became independent, not only with my thoughts, but also with my actions and with my endeavors. And I started to think legacy, started to think bigger picture, started to think, what am I going to really leave my kids, not only in assets, but in mindset? Like, are they going to just go somewhere and punch clocks? And look, being real, working at all the places I work, That's a hell of a clock to punch, right? It doesn't punch back, it takes the punch. But I didn't want my kids to think that they didn't have the inner power to create for themselves. So when I got to a place where all of a sudden it wasn't allowing me to the fullest to be myself, I had to go out there and create that. I had to create this experience, this platform opportunity, and this shared experience with you. And that's where I am right now. So my days are crazy. Everyone knows I have too many kids to name, and they just run my life. So it's like I'm playing double dutch. Kids, Brinks. Kids, Brinks. Kids, Brinks. And I'm just trying to juggle it all. But it's all in love, man, because I think there's a greater good that we both can serve if we just typically go out there and make sure that we put our heart first and the truth first. So in this dynamic, man, think about it, Brinks. I'm gonna give you the magic wand. You give me a 5-year forecast. What do you foresee out of this relationship and out of Brinks TV?
Look, positive energy begets positive energy. That's why we're both literally on this screen at the same time right this second. And I can't imagine that the universe wants it to stop here. I can't imagine that this is the last program. Can't imagine that you are going to be the last one to join the Brinks family. This is just the beginning. I mean, we already have such incredible programming and relationships, but honestly, I'm so grateful for Marcellus Wiley really being at a stage in his life and a stage in his own personal development where he said, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to be out there, make myself vulnerable, and world, this is me. And you know what? Are you guaranteed that this is going to work? None of us are guaranteed that this is going to work. We're not guaranteed it's going to work even if we're on ESPN. It could fall apart at any moment. But what I see 5 years from now is really, if you think about what ESPN was, in the day, it was pretty special. And somewhere along the way, it just kind of lost its mojo. It just has. And that's not me dissing on ESPN. It's me kind of taking big media companies and saying they can't make decisions fast enough with a clear enough head to really pivot the way that they should. It's like, you can't decide anything by committee. You got to be an individual who's able to lead. Mass media is missing that. Brinks TV 5 years from now, I believe you're going to see an explosion in growth to the extent that Marcellus Wiley and John Brenkus on this channel, on this feed, on this day, everyone will look back and say, man, they were on to something.
Man, say it again, testify, my man. It's funny you bring that up because I think in mass media right now, there is an internal conflict because they're trying to serve too many gods. Yeah. And that's what happens, you just see the splices everywhere and the agenda kind of tries to put the bow on top and people are starting to see the cracks in that armor. I understand that to the fullest. But the reason why I know this will succeed is because God didn't bring me this far to drop me off here. And that's what my grandma used to always say when you're going through something and then you have that doubt. And everyone doubts themselves. I hate when people go out there, oh man, I knew it was gonna work. No doubt, 100%. No doubt, 100%, really? You know what confidence really is? It's the management of doubt. It's how you deal with doubt. But guess what? You're dealing with something and it's called that doubt. But I'm in this position where I believe this is gonna work to the fullest. Why? Because everything that I've done right now, as long as my heart leads me, all my actions will support it and it will be a blessing. I'm looking forward to that, man. Like I'm looking forward to coming back after this break with more John Brenkus. And we're going to give you guys a dose of what we're going to do on this show. We're going to talk about Dana White and his wife and the slapping incident that is not really getting the conversation I think that it properly deserves. That's all and more coming up on Never Shut Up on Brinks TV and Reach TV. Welcome back to Never Shut Up. Marcellus Wiley, Dat Dude here. And as you guys see, this segment is titled Compton to Columbia. Let me tell you why that is so important in this moment, in this day and time. I'm the same guy that was born in Compton, who attended Columbia University. But through that 22-year journey, I would be treated so differently no matter where I was based on context, based on environment, based on assumptions. And me on the inside used to always sit there and like, I'm the same guy. But how come when I'm here, I'm thought of this way, and then I'm here, same person, thought of a different way? And to me, Compton to Columbia visualizes and expresses exactly that contrast. And that happens a lot nowadays in terms of just stories and headlines and personalities, celebrities. Like, we'll look at the same thing in completely different ways. We'll treat a person completely different when that's the same person. So right now, I want to bring in John Brenkus because we're going to talk about the Dana White incident. And it's an incident that's been in the news or not been in the news, depends on how you look at this, where he was in Cabo, New Year's Eve. You can see the video for yourself where his wife hits him and Dana White, responds with a hit himself. And the interesting thing to me, the first thing is, it just went to my mental Rolodex of incidents that were provoked by the woman, provoked by the other party, but the person who responded got a lot worse sentence than the person Dana White is right now in this moment. So John, take me through this incident as you've kind of digested it. What do you think about Dana White and what's going on? Man,
what's interesting is when you see the video, look, we all know, look, a man is never supposed to hit a woman. I mean, everyone just says that. Like, you never hit a woman.
That, right?
That's what they say, right? It's funny. Like, Chris Rock has one of the best jokes ever. He's like, I would never, ever hit a woman, but I would shake the shit out of her. He's like, I'm like, that's hilarious. But listen, that was back in the day when everybody had a sense of humor. Now it's like, you can't say that. So when I looked at this video with Dana White, look, he's wrong. She's wrong. He's wrong. It's terrible. Honestly, he came out and he did the right thing by immediately saying, my bad, my fault. I take responsibility. No excuses. Doesn't matter. I've apologized 1,000 times. You can ask me about this. You can post whatever you want about me. And it's all justified because I brought it on myself. He knows he's a public figure. He knows you can't do that in public or private. And he dealt with it in the right way. What's interesting is the silence that then ensued is kind of like, is that telling on the influence that he has? Is it telling on the state that we are in media? I mean, I'm interested to get your take on it because I just want to say this for the record. For the record, John Brenkus, and I'm proud of this. I'm 5'8", 100 probably high 68, 168, right? When I entered high school, I was 4'8", 86 pounds. Dang. And I can tell you with total clarity and certainty, I have never hit anyone for any reason ever. Think about how small, like in high school, you get in fights. Not when you're 4'8", 86 pounds. No, you don't. And then when you become an adult, I'm only 5'8". Like, when would I ever bow up and smack somebody? Like, I've never hit anybody for any reasons. It's not in my DNA. With that being said, lots of people have lost their temper. Lots of people have done things that they regret. I'm interested to get your take on what was going through your mind when you saw this.
Yeah, man. It's funny you bring me that take, and I was like, yep. That's how the show's going to start off, but that's not how the show's going to end. Hey, that sounds great. That will work on ESPN, except ESPN won't even play a Dana White video right now because he has a partnership with them. So it's the way I was brought up is the way this show is going to be. We talk about everything so we can learn from it or unlearn from it, right? So in the Dana White situation, you said he did everything right after the incident. Did he? Or did Dana White be the person? Is he the influence of Dana White? Is that the reason why this story went away? Did he do everything right? Let's just say Dana White blamed it on the alcohol, didn't We hear songs from Jamie Foxx before. Don't blame it on alcohol. You can't blame it on alcohol. And when I first heard that was the first time my ears perked up because I saw the video like everyone else. She hit him. He responded. They all say you shouldn't hit a woman. But have you ever been in a position where a woman hits you because she knows that you can't hit her back? Well, let me tell you this, John. I've been in that position before as an active player. I was in a relationship, having an argument. That's conversation that got heated. Argument. No hands thrown anywhere. Certainly not from me. And all of a sudden, I felt a slap across my face. Now, I'm a DN in the league. I'm a Pro Bowler. I could have blocked it, but the pure audacity of the moment, the pure, not only audacity, but the stank look of what you gonna do made me just sit there and say, well, finish it. And she did. And I looked, I said, do it again. Again, she hit me 11 times.
What?
Now, what empowered her to hit me 11 times across the face? She was the same size as you, John Brenkus, a little thicker, but basically same size as you, John Brenkus. But you know, there was an empowerment that went too far because she's like, you can't do anything. That was part of the fuel for Dana White's wife in that moment that we don't discuss. Now, the flip side is when someone does that to you, what can be the proper response? Ray Rice in that incident, I noticed a lot of times we cut that up into just the elevator incident. But if you see what led to the elevator incident, her hitting him, her spitting on him, and then Ray Rice responds. All I'm saying is, obviously, with the consequences of Ray Rice, largely because he knocked her out unconscious and drug her out and stepped on her. I'm not comparing them in that way. I'm comparing them from the incident of provocation. Who started it? A woman. Who started it in Dana White? A woman. Dana White's allowed to respond. Ray Rice is not. Are we saying that? Or was Ray Rice's response too great? Therefore, that's why he got not only nonstop coverage, but lost his living. I think there's a part of this, the woman being so empowered that she never, ever has to think about retribution. I think there's also a conversation about what do you do when you're the victim of someone else's assault, like in this situation? And then why the silence? Because one's a player and one's an owner of a league. To me, those are the layers we must discuss.
Listen, Marcellus, I want to make sure that it's very clear. It's called a double standard for a reason, right? I mean, like the richer you are, the more power and influence you have, the more you get away with. I mean, the Robert Kraft incident. I mean, if that was any player on any team, they get suspended. They probably never get picked up. You don't want to bother with it. But he owns the team, and it's party on. So what? Whatever. And, you know, I think the Ray Rice and Dana White comparison is right. It's a double standard. Ray Rice never saw the light of day on the field again, right? Now, mind you, he cold cocked that. I mean, that was, dude, that was awful. And there's no amount of I'm sorry that gets you back. It just doesn't, right? And that's kind of like the law of unintended consequences. It's like you did something, and guess what? It does make a difference if you knock somebody out or if you just push them back a little bit. It makes a difference. The result, even though you may not have intended that to happen, that is what happened. So that's what.
Yeah, I give you that, John. But this is the conversation that we're not having about Dana White to show everyone the differences between Dana White and Ray Rice. Like, I live in a world right now where there's mass media. There's countless people with independent content creators. It's all we do now is create content. We have the internet. And then if you talk about Dana White, it's like you got to go dig in some ditches to find one person saying something about it. And all I'm saying is, I don't want to indict Dana White. I don't want to cancel. I don't believe in cancel culture. So good luck trying to cancel me. The shit doesn't work. But I don't believe in that. But I do believe in conversation, especially when it's something to gain from it. And in this one, what we can gain is a huge conversation of a woman put her hands on the man and he responded. that seems like we're in a different space, a new space. And if you don't want to have that conversation, then why in the hell did you have so much conversation about Ray Rice? Just the result, not the fact that he hit her after she hit him? To me, there are layers that we must iron out if we're truly going to learn from this situation.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one in terms of the Ray Rice, bringing up Ray Rice and comparing it to Dana White. It's obviously clearly a double standard. That's just the way the world works. And, you know, when your my dad's amazing. He was amazing. He was a very, very guy. He passed away a few years ago. God rest his soul. But he was a very simple man. And he said to me, this is what he said. Ready? Son, I'm gonna tell you something. You're 16 years old. You got we didn't call it a mullet back then. It was because it was a Bosworth, right? The word mullet really didn't exist. It was a Brian Bosworth. So I had a Bosworth. And he goes, you wear an acid wash jean jacket and you drive a Camaro. You know what? Cops are going to pull you over for one reason, because you look like an asshole. That's why. and he goes, you're going to try to change it, and you're going to try to say it's not fair. And he goes, you know what? If you really honestly believe that it's not fair, then don't look like an asshole. Like that's like what he would say. And I'm like, the truth is, when I was 16, there's a real stat. I got pulled over 15 times in 12 months. And not for doing anything, because I looked like an asshole. So it was like, look, if you look like that, if you do that, that's what's going to happen. In the way that this relates to the Dana White thing is, here's a guy who's a gazillionaire. He's one of the most famous people in the world, especially in the world of sports. And when you do something, the media is saying, oh, if we go after him, he has a lot of power and influence over advertisers and deals and TV rights. Ray Rice, that's just a name on a roster. Like, it don't matter. So we can crucify one, and we have to just kind of look the other way on the other. And that's kind of my dad. I can hear him in my ears saying, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, man, you're correct. I mean, look, I grew up around people, and my dad used to say the same thing. Different outfit, different haircut, but basically I heard the same thing. You know, I walk out the house with all blue on. You know, I'm in my adolescent years. I'm trying to sag. My daddy like, get your ass back in here unless you want them to think you crippin'. And if they think you crippin', you might get caught slipping. And there it is. So I was like in that same predicament. But you're speaking to my frustration, and in large part why I'm here working with you, John. It's because it's this selective outrage. Let's talk about protecting the guilty. And in this situation, when you protect the guilty, to me, there's a positive and there's a negative side to it. Let's talk about the positive side of protecting someone you know is guilty, like a Dana White, if you think that. I have had countless teammates have bad moments, indiscretions that only I know about, right? And when I talk in story form. I love to talk about things and relate them to me. And I always protect the guilty, the positive side. That means I'm not going to put someone's name in my conversation where it's not flattering, and that's not going to help them. So I talk around and dance around their name to protect the guilty. But the negative side of protecting the guilty are situations where we use this selective outrage. So we're going to condemn someone and we're going to throw the heavy hand at them when they do something in the realm of someone else that you just act like it never happened. Obviously, Ray Rice gets a harder sentence, longer sentence, greater verdict than what we see with Dana White. But he doesn't even have his moment in court in our minds. He doesn't even have his moment where we deliberate and talk about it. I was just amazed that that's power, but also I think there's people out there saying, well, she hit him. End of discussion. But that wasn't in the discussion before. So either we're in a new place or the old place with some BS. That's the conversation I'm trying to identify.
I think selective outrage is, it really sums up where we are in society now, right this second, right? Because we know all the Twitter files that are being released. I mean, voices are being suppressed. Others are being lifted up. Imaginary accounts are being created to post an idea to tell you this is what you're supposed to think. I mean, it's selective outrage. People lose their minds over the weirdest thing. And I'm telling you what, in a lot of ways, the selective outrage for people who just get caught up in it and they don't stop to say, what was the story? What's the background? What's the context? It's just entertainment at that point. They just want to try to feel good and be entertained. That's all it is. They're not a person. It's not a situation. It's not context. It's just, well, I'm going to entertain myself by spouting off about how outraged I am over this thing that, of course, headline, man hits woman. All right, men are not supposed to hit women, ever. No reason. Absolutely no excuse, period. That's what everybody thinks. Is that always the case? It just clearly isn't. And I would never condemn. I'm the kind of person, I don't want a man to hit another man for any reason ever. I've never hit anyone, but stuff happens. And then you say the Ray Rice versus Dana White thing. You're like, Marcellus Wiley, you're correct. There is no massive outrage with Dana White because he's too powerful. It's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know what I'm really trying to grip with and wrestle with is the fact that I grew up with a mother who was 6'1", 250 pounds, right? And she used to put them paws on my daddy sometimes, right? Like, I seen my mama put them hands on my daddy. I was like, Daddy, you ain't about to shed that linebacker. Like, it's a problem, right? And so when I've seen it on the flip side, and obviously in my situation, it really shapes my lens of looking at it. Like, I used to hear the adage, never put your hands on a woman. And I used to always think of the addendum, like, what if she putting her hands on you first? And I used to see my daddy, like, just taking it. And it was just an interesting play, not only in the words, but also actions that didn't always support the words. And I obviously was a victim myself one time of someone knowing that blanket statement, never hit a woman, is something I can use as a weapon to really come at you. So that was just something I was finding very interesting. People have to know about this show, Never Shut Up. We don't talk about it. Look, I may see Dana White at the next UFC. And if he catches this clip, he better not have a problem with me because all I did was talk about it. And if he does, then I'm going to talk about it then and say, why you got a problem with me? And that's how I think we all grow and go together.
Let me just tell you this. I want to tell you this is the difference between Never Shut Up on Brinks TV and Never Shut Up on ESPN. Ready? Even the contemplation of this discussion, the ESPN execs are like, Marcellus, come here. We got to talk about this right now, right? Are you saying, Marcellus, that it's okay to hit a woman? Is that what you're saying? Do you realize what our advertisers are going to do? And you're like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, and I'm going to sum it up in this way. John Brenkus, I have never hit a human being, male, female, or any of the other genders or however many of the things there are, right? I've never hit one or thing. I just don't do that. I absolutely positively do not condone anyone hitting anyone for any reason ever. That's me. But it happens. And when you just say a man should never hit a woman, I don't think a man should ever hit a man. I mean, that's what I think. And the difference between ESPN and Brinks TV is you're allowed to say, wow, a man just hit a woman. I wonder what the backstory was there. Like, what happened? Right?
Yes,
I mean, you're not condoning it, but you're curious.
And that's the beautiful thing. Let's keep conversations like this going. To me, the most honest place in the world, well, now I'm going to add one more. Never shut up. But before then, it was your group text. Like in your group text, man, what the hell Dana doing? What the hell his wife doing? And you're going back and forth hoping the FBI never catches your damn phone because it's a problem, right? Yeah. That's the beauty and the freedom of being on Brinks TV and doing this show, Never Shut Up. We're going to talk about it, right? And we're not going to get canceled, and you're not going to be able to take our voices away. Another thing that I love about being here is the freedom of having topics like this coming up. Yeah. Dear or damn Dat Dude. Now, when you hear that, you're like, interesting. Are we doing a Dear Abby here? No, I'm about to be self-deprecating. Here's the thing. I know where I've been in terms of talking about sports as a talking head. And a lot of people dog curse me at home when they're watching, or a lot of people at home say, hey, say that, Marcellus, speak with your chest. I hear you, big dog. Well, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity going forward to not only write questions for me, but actually be the one who asked the question on this very show. So let me just give you the framework. Dear or damn Dat Dude. Dear Dat Dude, if you write that to me or say that to me, it's something nice, something flattering. Oh my God, I can't believe you said that. That was so profound. But damn Dat Dude is when you gonna get your shot off at me, get your dig in on me, and all of a sudden say, you know what? You were off on that one, brother. Let's talk about it. So that's the beautiful thing about it. Dear or damn Dat Dude. So I'm gonna throw myself a softball, John. Tell me if I'm gonna be accurate about this one. I have a Dear Dat Dude, and in this Dear Dat Dude, it's basically asking me, Marcellus, please, since you have so many damn kids, tell me, what do you love about each one of your kids? You lucky you said love, because if you didn't say love, I say hate. First of all, John, do you have a family, kids? Let the people know.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got a son, I got a daughter, 16-year-old son, 14-year-old daughter. They're incredible. What's amazing about my kids is that they are just incredible, independent souls. And I was born in 1971. And I think the greatest gift I was given was the fact that, I had fantastic parents who, steered me the right way, but also gave me the freedom to go outside and fall off my bike and skin my knee. And when I came home and said, guess what happened? My mother and my father looked at me and said, you're just going to have to figure that out yourself. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, don't fall off your bike if you don't want to get hurt. Like, I don't know. So my kids are incredibly independent. They're in like all other kids, they're going to make mistakes and have their victories and they're going to learn along the way. And I think that's kind of all you can do is provide a platform for life and make sure, you stay in bounds and don't do something too stupid and, stay alive and live to fight another day.
Yeah, that's it right there. I totally agree with you, man. I term it like this. You build up their hardware so the world can apply any software to them and they're able to succeed. That's just basically what I have. And for me, the greatest love in the world is creating another life in the version of you that you aspire to be greater than you. And that's what having kids is, right? Like, all right, this is part of me, but I created it, but I can't control it. And maybe it'll be greater than I am. And that's the goal. And that's why we work so hard to support them. Oh, my kids, I love them and I keep it real with them. My daughter has the biggest heart. She's a super sweetie. There's been times where she flew her plane a little too low based on her potential, but that's behind her. Because now she is flying high. She's at Columbia grad school. No, I didn't hook her up. No, I didn't make the phone call. No, I didn't get that bonus check. She earned it on her own merits. Love my maraca. My 7-year-old boy, everyone knows this is my family, right? I show this portrait 1,000 times. It's all 6 of us. This is my family, but I flip it. This is my favorite. That's my boy. I love that little dude, my 7-year-old. So I got my family, I got my favorite. They know I'm playing kinda. No, he's just an amazing little nugget. He's hilarious, he's sensitive, and he's a stud in everything he does. He's a really great one. My 3-year-old, Araya, Lord, I call her my Layla Latifah because she's already like my son's height and weight, and she's only 3 and he's 7, and he's gigantic. But she is so spirited, so strong-willed, and a creative. So You know me, I'm looking at her like, she's doing gymnastics now. I'm like, yeah, get that body under control, girl. Get them A's in class, and let's go out there and dominate tennis or golf or something. But all love, she's just an amazing soul, and she's just tough, though. She's the bull in the house. She runs the house. And my last one is my 2-year-old. She's from the dictionary of precious or a doll. Like, everything she does is like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Like, she does everything perfectly. The best baby you can have is my 2-year-old, Olivia. So now, everyone out there, just want you guys to understand, bring John back in.
Yeah.
This is just a taste of what we're going to do on this show. I
want to ask you a question. I'm going to be the first Dear Dat Dude. I'm going to ask you a question that you haven't prepared for this. Do you think you're a man of great influence? You're a man of great wealth. You're a man who's made it. You're a man who made it on his own, right? You didn't have family connections. You're born in Compton to get to Columbia. You didn't have somebody opening the door for you. And now my question to you is, as a father with resources and influence, do you think you should use your resources and influence for your kids? Should you open that door for them and make it easier? Or do you want to make sure that they are on their own and they earn everything themselves?
Oh, I certainly believe you should open those doors for them. Give them as many opportunities to fail and fail forward as possible. I don't like the stigma around being born on third base, and then all of a sudden there's a new set of standards and rules and discipline where you make them earn every single thing because that's the only way they're going to learn to appreciate it and to work for it. That's a damn lie. You know, the reality is the rich get richer in this world because they hook each other up. You want to know the reality is the people from poverty and the hood, broke people, don't have those doors open up, so then they stay there. And then they always attach it to somebody like me. See, Marcellus made it, so you can do it too. Yeah, get 6'5", 280 and run a 4.6, it might happen. Other than that, you're going to take the slow road and be running into door after door. My kids are born on third base, damn it. And guess what? I wish they were born on home plate. I wish they wouldn't even have to run the bases. That's how good I want it. But in all seriousness, you don't learn appreciation. You don't learn how to work harder because you're starving for something. Because I grew up starving for things. And people say, that's why you work so hard. They forget I had countless number of friends who were also starving, who are still in that same position and predicament. A lot of times it starves your ambition out of you. A lot of times you get starved of hope. Then you get defeated. That's the cycle, if you want to keep it real, between rich getting richer and poor getting poorer. I'm opening every door. And we're going to learn from those experiences, whether you get through there and stay in there or you fall flat on your face.
Jeez. Amen.
I don't have a mic.
Mic drops. Stop your feet and let it match.
Oh, man. Speaking of that, man, let me transition into a Wileyism, and this is how we're going to end the show. This is basically how I end every conversation. I could be at the club with somebody. It's 2 a.m, and they're like, all right, dog, call my Uber. I was like, before you call that Uber, here's a Wileyism for you. You know? But that's who I am. Listen to me here. Yeah. Today's Wileyism is my favorite Wileyism from Mark Twain. Life is a competition between you and yourself. That hits home in so many ways. And as I'm a coach right now for my son's basketball and football team, I tell the kids all the time, there's 3 things you're competing against. You're competing against yourself first, your teammates second, and your opponents last. And if you visualize life that way, you'll also start to learn how to focus better and to stay better disciplined. But I think we got it backwards in this world. We really build ourselves up to compete against them first. But you got to compete against yourself because it's a marathon. And I'm a late bloomer. I'm a guy that everyone from day one didn't think was going to become this version of me. And that was because they didn't know me to the fullest, and they didn't know I wasn't trying to impress them. I wasn't competing against them. I was in a competition against myself. If I got a B+, it's time to get an A-. You get an A-, time to get an A. everything that I did, I would always self-reflect and make sure I tried to improve. And I wasn't able to improve all things. But I learned also, if I'm not able to improve those things, take a hard assessment of it. Maybe it's not in my skill set. I wasn't good in handwriting. I wasn't good in art. I wasn't good in basketball. The list goes on and on. But I got a couple of superpowers on my belt, right? And those I used to charge up every single day to make sure I went out there and not only try to enhance them, but one day display them for the world at large. Life is a competition, and life always was a competition between me and myself and between you and yourself. John Brenkus, when you hear that Wileyism, what does it make you think of? How does it land in your world?
You know, you're right. Ultimately, you're accountable to yourself, ultimately, right? And my kind of, the way of life that I have led and what I aspire to hopefully communicate to people is just be you, and you can live with yourself if you're you. Because we all make mistakes, we all fall down, but you got to also get up and say, I'm getting up. What is motivating you to get up? First and foremost, you got to love you. I mean, that's the truth. Because this whole look, I love others more than I love myself. You got to love yourself in order to love others. So the competition between you and yourself is you're constantly measuring yourself against you. And I know that the Wileyism of the day is, life is a competition between you and yourself. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna add a little bit. Okay. And I'm gonna say it's a competition between you and yourself. And what you're trying to realize is what you can do, not what you want to do. Because you may want to go to the moon, but you can't. So when people say, you can do anything you want, I'm like, I want you to stand here, jump, and touch Saturn's outer ring. You can do anything you want, but you can't. You can only do what you can. And that the life being a competition between you and yourself is understanding what you can do. I'm not going to play in the NFL, even if I want to. I can't. So I think that's my spin on it and what goes through my head.
Oh, man, I love it. I love the concepts. I love the layering. I love how we are sitting here on full display, becoming what our greatest version of ourselves is. Because we're conversing, because we're talking through this, because even in disagreement, there's no disrespect. That's how conversation should happen. That's why we're in a place right now where everyone watching is tuned in to Never Shut Up. John, let everybody know where they can find you on social, and we look forward to staying connected every single week.
Absolutely. Follow me on Twitter at JohnBrinkus_, and also look up all the Brink social handles. They're all Brinks.tv or Brinks TV. Just search them up on social. And obviously, everybody make sure that you're probably following Marcellus if you're watching this. But if you're not, you're missing out. Make sure you follow Marcellus Wiley, Dat Dude, across the board.
Yes, man. Follow me at Marcellus Wiley everywhere. Follow us on our journey with Brinks TV and Reach TV. And everyone out there viewing this, continue to tune in because this is just the beginning. We are going to talk about everything and we're going to take it everywhere. And we're looking forward to going on that journey with you. Never shut up, you guys, in essence, and showing this world who you really are. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, fellas.